Good morning, YouTubes. How is everybody? It is morning, and it's a chilly morning as well. The bike is telling me it's 11 degrees, and I think when I left the house said, well, not the house thermometer, weather station thing said it was 10. So this is probably the Ducati being a little bit ambitious with the temperature, shall we say. So this morning, off to the Ducati Owners Club meeting, the Kent branch of the Owners Club meeting, and should be a few lads there. I've not been for a little while, so I know there are quite a few new members who I've not met. Now, I know a lot of you probably follow this channel for CB250RS content, which is the main bulk of it, because that's my favourite bike. Shh, I didn't say that. Allegedly, could be my favourite bike. But I'm lucky enough to have a few bikes. As some of you might know if you do watch this drivel on a regular basis. And this is one of them. This is my Ducati Hyperstrada, which is essentially a hypermotard that you can put luggage on. And anyone that knows the hypermotard range knows that they're the hooligan bike of the range. Would that be the correct thing to say? To be honest with you, it probably would. And the reality of it is that this bike does make you want to ride like a bit of a twat, if I'm being completely honest. Now, I used to have a Multistrada, 1200 Multistrada with the DVT engine, so it's a post facelift with the new engine, and it was a great bike, a lovely bike. I took it to Scotland, I took it down through Europe, and it was a cracking bike, but in reality it was a bit of a barge. They're not a point and squirt bike, which is the sort of thing I normally go for. Don't get me wrong, it's a fast bike, 160 horsepower, but fairly heavy, 230 kilos, something like that. And even just pushing it in and out of the workshop, you know, when it was loaded up with luggage, it was a fucking heavy old beast to push around. And as much as I loved it, there was always that one day I'm going to lose my footing and this bike is going over, and no one likes that. We've all done it. Anyone that's ridden bikes for any period of time would have done that. So an old friend of mine, who unfortunately is no longer with us anymore, Michael, he had a Hyperstrada, and I always remember him telling me how good it was, telling me what a laugh it was. And he was quite a sensible guy. He was a sensible rider. You know, he was a quick rider, but he was fairly sensible. So for Michael to say this hooligan bike was good was a bit of an accolade. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to get one and give it a go. So I found one on eBay, not eBay, Facebook Marketplace of all places, and sent a few messages backwards and forwards with the guy. We agreed on a price, so I got the bike collected. It's always a risk when you're buying sight unseen off of Facebook or whatever, but normally if you phone someone up and you have a chat with them on the phone, you get a bit of an idea of what they're like. Oh, that's quickness. It's not fast, it's quick. There's a big difference between the two. So anyway, yeah, I had a chat with the guy. We agreed a price. I got a courier to collect it, and over it came. I was very happy with it. It was exactly as described. It really was. Although it's done, I think it's done close to 20,000 miles. It was mint. It was in really lovely condition. It had been well looked after, and I was really pleased with it. But I'd never ridden one. I know it's a bit weird buying a bike that you'd never ridden, but yeah, I'd never ridden one. So anyway, long story short, I took it out for a spin within about a mile, it just made me want to ride like a bell end. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave that to your judgment. But literally, pitching it into corners, and I felt like I should be sticking my leg out motocross styley. It really was that kind of bike, but with the option of putting luggage on it, because all they did was give it a bigger screen and different plates on the back. You're coming out, aren't you, you fucking bellend? Look at this. Look at this. Totally fucking oblivious. Totally oblivious. Yeah. Well, at least it was in a 40 limit and I was doing 40 rather than in a national where obviously things end up differently, as we see all the time. But yeah, I rode it and I absolutely loved it. It was a nice warm sunny day. I picked some lanes over on the marsh. I went out and did a route. I can't remember what the route was, 20-30 miles, and I spanked it around this route. Obviously once it had warmed up, spanked it around this route. Absolutely fucking loved it. So I got home and I literally didn't even take my helmet off. I parked it up in the garage, I pulled the multistrada out and I rode the multistrada on the same route. And they were like chalk and cheese. And I got home and I put the multistrada out for sale. That was it. Because it just suited my style of riding and the type of riding I want to do, but also gave me the ability that if I want to jump on it and scoot down to the south of France, you know, I can do. So I mean, it is a real point and squirt. Now, it has got its negatives over the multistrada, obviously. For example, it's a bit more stripped back. You've got no cruise control. You've got no heated grips, because obviously the multi had a little button you could switch heated grips on and off, which was nice. It's got less wind protection because it's not designed as a touring bike, but I have got a standard screen, but this is obviously a larger screen as well, just to give you a little bit more wind protection, and that works quite nicely for what it is. Obviously you don't want to put a sail on the front of this bike. The seat isn't as comfy. It's not going to be. I did buy a low seat because I've got I'm a bit of a short arse. I did buy a low seat to try on the bike so I can get my feet down, but funny enough I can get my feet down pretty flat with the standard seat. And the low seat, all Ducati did was take all the padding out of it, and it's like riding on a fucking plank. So that's just in the loft space in the workshop. I should really sell it, to be honest, but sometimes when you come to sell a bike it's nice to give a new owner the option, and that can sometimes make a difference between them choosing your bike or another bike, having a few accessories and stuff with it. So yeah, the seat's not as comfy, but you know, I've got seat pads and I've got my old sheepskin cover and stuff like that which I can chuck on, but it's not awful. It's just not a multistrada. It's a bit more compact. Now that suits me, so everything's a bit closer. That suits me. Oh, spins the back up over the bumps. That suits me because you know, being a smaller guy, it doesn't feel cramped, it feels nice. But it's this whole thing, it's just the, you know, the point and squirtness of it that I love. Now I have put an aftermarket can on it, so it's a little bit fruity. Not fruity in a bad way, it's not obnoxious. But if I take the restrictor out of the back, then it is obnoxious. It is a bit too loud then. And if anyone has ever bought a car or a bike and put a noisy pipe on, I'm sure you'll agree with me that on a long trip sometimes it can be a bit drony and not great. But yeah, other than that, fuel economy, it's really good. Let me see if I can find. Oh, the computer's not as good. Obviously, the screen's not as good. 52.2 miles to the gallon is what this has done since I've had it. Now you can't really complain about that. The clock is a bit small. The clock's Is that a gripe? Not really. You can see what you're doing. It's got a speedo on it. Hasn't got a fuel gauge, but then multi-strada fuel gauges are notorious for being unreliable anyway. So you just reset the trip as you ride it. So that works fine. But no, do you know what? Other than that, I'll put some crash bungs on it, just because that's a sensible thing to do. Because otherwise you might, you know, you've only got to drop the bike and damage a panel, and that's quite expensive. And I think the crash bungs were like, I don't know, 100 quid or something like that. Well, the first time you lose your foot on a bit of gravel, or you know, you're just dropping it, moving it around, you've only got to lose your footing. That's your 100 quid paid for straight away. So I normally do fit stuff like that on the bikes that I've got that are suitable for it. Right, anyway, anyway, that's probably enough about waffling about this bike. Cracking bike, Hyperstrada, and this is only the 821 version. This is the lowest powered version they do. They go up to, I think, 939, 959. I can't remember. They don't make them anymore. But this is the lowest horsepower one. So this one is 110 horsepower. Now it seems funny saying it's only 110 horsepower, because many years ago 110 horsepower was quite pokey. But these days 110 horsepower isn't. Let's park with the other Ducati, shall we? Not when that is putting out 220 horsepower. Alright, anyway, I'm going to sign off. Doesn't look like, it looks like there's a few guys here, and I'll be back in a bit. Well, that was a good little catch up with the guys. Some of them I haven't seen for months and months, because I've just not been out with the Owners Club for ages, because obviously stuff gets in the way, like work and other bikes and other commitments and what have you. But yeah, it's a good lineup of bikes today. So what we got, you probably can't see it, you've got a Super Sport on the end, you got a multi-strada V4, a multi-strada 1200, Hyper Motard 950 SP, lovely. That's the latest version of what this became. V2 1200 multi, Panigale V2, which is nice. Then we got 1260S, classic 916, 1260S, and then on the end, if you can see them, we've got a couple of V4Rs, and then a V2, a 950 multi on the end. So yeah, good collection of bikes today. And then that little old Strada, Hyperstrada. Right then. Yeah, another thing, if you're close to Ashford in Kent, up towards Challock, which is spelt Challock with an O, but everyone calls it Challock. The Stag, which is the pub there, owned by a couple of proper petrol heads. They do car meets. There's a Westfield club just up there. Most of them are gone now. Porsche, I've been here with the Porsche guys a few times, and obviously the Ducati guys are meeting up here. Do good food. They've got a big field at the back there behind me, where they put not car meets, but if a car club turns up, they park all at the back. So I'm going to take the city cruise home now. I say city cruise, I'm on this thing, so it probably won't be, but I won't record it. But anyway, you know what I mean. And I'll see you all soon. So if you're riding, take care. If you're not riding, watch these crap videos. I should really have done a quick show of the bike, shouldn't I? So there you go, Ducati Hyperstrada, which is a Hyper Motard, but with attachments for panniers, the old GPR pipe. I do have the standard pipe, and that's not too noisy. There's Lewis. Oh, I got chatting. I'll see you soon, mate. Take care. Yeah, very old mate of mine. So, Right then, let's switch the camera off. Let's go have some fun. See you soon.